So let's say you've got a property, you've got a mortgage on it, but you've got some equity and you can want to go buy another property. Let's do some numbers and let's see how it looks, mate.
So George, based on what you just said, we've got an existing property, now looking to buy an investment. So as per our beautiful Quickly servicing calculator, so this is a mortgage broker and calculator we use. On the right-hand side, you can see the different lenders and the max they're willing to lend just next to that. So as we make changes, the right-hand side will adjust. So on the left-hand side, I've just picked 2 applicants, 2 dependents,
So
aged, let's say, 2 and 5 years old.
Yep.
We've got our first applicant earning about $120,000 and our second sitting at around that $90,000. Okay.
So Costa, there $120,000 is applicant number 1, and number 2 is $90,000. And look, let's say they've got no HECS debt. So this section here is a bit of bank jargon, OO and INV. OO is the one they're living in. So these people have come to us that own a house now, they have a mortgage on it, but they want to buy another one. So see, OO, it's worth about $900,000. And then I go down here a little bit, and I have the loan for the current property. So the guy, where they live, it's worth $100, but they have a mortgage of $480, all right? And then they want to buy an investment property, and we've just, for this scenario, you put $800,000, right? And then you've got rent of $700 per week.
Yep.
Now keep going.
Yep. So what I've done is I've put here the proposed loan amount of $836,000. Because ideally what we want to do for our clients is borrow 100% of our new purchase price of $800,000.
Yep.
Plus actually borrow the fees on top of that. A lot of people don't know you can actually borrow the stamp duty costs and solicitor costs or even buyer's agent costs.
For those who are watching right now, go, hang on a second, mate. How can I buy a property for $800,000 and borrow $836,000? Look, go follow Mad Loans YouTube. We've done a video on how to use your equity. How to use your equity. That's how people are doing it. They're buying their second property and borrowing the full fees by leveraging equity. And I'll go through that in another video. Hopefully you can see it just there.
Yep. So $836,000 is our new loan amount.
And it's all green. So on the right here, we can see that the banks will actually do it.
Still coming up as green. We've got our existing home loan.
28 years left on their current house.
Yep. Might take a little bit longer to create that equity. So let's just go 26. Won't make too much of a difference.
Yep.
We've also got here 0 personal liabilities.
Yep.
Okay, I'll come back to that in a second. And we've also adopted the bank's average level of living expenses for this particular scenario, which you can actually see in this column here. For a family of 4, sits around that $5,100 per month with some additional
costs. So
costs.
let's say these guys are kids, they're going to public schools and stuff like that.
Childcare.
But they have got private health insurance.
Yep, we've added private health insurance, which is an additional expense.
Remember, guys, every scenario is different, and please, this is general advice only. This is not advice for you. We're just doing scenarios to help, hopefully, trigger something in for you to go, maybe I can buy an investment property. That's all we're trying to do here.
Yep.
The key here, though, is like, if you are paying private school fees, we've got to plug that in there. But you watching this, your income is different to our scenario here. So we're just trying to teach you how the banks look at it. So
if you do approach us with this particular scenario, you can actually see on the right-hand side, the loan amount we're wanting to achieve is about $836.
That's because $800,000 is the purchase price.
Yep.
And $36,000 is all the buying associated fees, stamp duty, lawyers, building and pest inspectors. And if you're watching this, you're going, hang on, how do you know $36,000 of fees? Again, there's another video right there where we break down all the buying associated fees.
Yep. So we can see that we can service $860 and we only need about $836. If you came to me and you said, Gosta, we've got a credit card that's $10,000, don't be scared. It does impact our borrowing capacity, so you'll be able to see it drop from $860 down to about $800,000 total loan amount. But we can get an approval subject to closing down the credit card and get us boost back up to the loan amount that we need to cover.
All right, let's have a look how much this loan costs now.
So we've got here, if we buy for $800,000, now total fees, we're sitting around the $37,000, $38,000, which includes all the different fees on the left-hand side. I'll get rid of this. We're not moving into this property. It's an investment.
Yep.
So $800 plus $37K worth of total fees. There's your total cost, including fees of $837. Now, George, I've got a deposit here of $0.
Yeah, so the LVR, so loan to value ratio, is I'm borrowing 104%. Normally, you can't do that. All right? Normally, you've got to put a deposit down.
Yep.
But This scenario, they have a property and they're leveraging equity. And I showed you before, follow other videos that we've got to show you how people are doing that. So what's it going to cost? $837,000.
So we're borrowing 100%, including fees. So 837, zero deposit, loan amount of 837. So let's have a little look at this. So 837 over 30 years at an interest rate of, let's just say, 5.69%. Repayments sit at around that 4,850.
So let's have a look. So if I go 4853 times 12 divided by 52, cost here it's about $1,119 a week. That's principal and interest.
Yep. I'm
Now-
just putting here interest only, just to give you a bit of a comparison as well.
Okay, good. So if you do principal and interest, it's going to cost you about approximately $1,120 a week. Let's say you get rent of, hypothetically, maybe $700 a week.
Yep, that's what I've
So
got.
about $420 is going to cost you a week. Everything's about out of pocket at the moment, where rates are and where rents are. But at the end of the day, there are some tax benefits by owning investment properties, but get your accountant and financial planner's advice on that one.
Yep. Why would anybody invest in property if we're having to fork out cash flow per week?
Look, mate, let's do the numbers. So if you go $400 a week it's costing you, times by 52, so the thing's negative about $21,000 a year. I always sort of look long-term with property. So times that by 10 years, it's going to cost you around $208,000 to keep the property long-term. What's that property worth in 10 years' time? So let's say today it's $800,000.
Yep.
Let's and for those at home who want to work this out, the long-term average growth rate is anywhere, it depends. It really depends. But let's say 6%, being conservative.
Yeah, that's
at the
very
moment,
conservative.
at the moment in Brisbane, it is up to 16% per year. So I'm going to call it 6%.
Yep.
So 800,000 plus 6%, and I'm going to press 10 times the equals button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hopefully my property will be worth 1.432. Then of course I minus what it cost me, which was 837, and then I'm up 595, and I minus the $208,000 that it cost me over 10 years. So I'm up around 387 grand mark. And in some
10 years.
circumstances, it could be better than that. I've seen far better than that. But that's cost a reason why we buy an investment property, because trying to pay off your house loan over 30 years is a very difficult way to do it, mate. What I find in my life and in my career is people buying second or third properties, all right, and they're doing it for wealth creation purposes.
Yep.
They're doing it to, hopefully after 10 or 20 or even 30 years, selling it and having a better retirement, paying off their house. That's the reason why we do it, mate.
I think that's the exact conversations that we have with our clients. Whether you're buying an investment property at 25 years old or you're buying it at 50 years old, there are people who are still trying to create wealth so that they can live a good retirement and they've got a good exit strategy, or to pass on their properties to their kids as well.
That's it.
But guys, thank you for listening, and we'd love to see you watch one of our other YouTube videos, as there's plenty of information out there to try and help you buy property and create your version of financial freedom.